When you look at the process, what are some of those best practices to be able to recommend in making sure you have the greatest impact and also the smoothest processes? To maximize your revenue, it is imperative to have thorough discovery with any TPL processes so that you're identifying what occurred, why the patient was treated, and you understand all the potential payers that may come into play. In addition to quickly billing those payers that are identified, liens are recommended if verified and applicable so that the hospital can use that to protect its interest for payment. But not only does one need to look at all the available auto insurances, but also, of course, looking at any health or governmental payers that may be available. These contracts and regulations dictate the priority of the payers as well as the timely billing of each one. And this must be reviewed and coordinated properly so that you can ensure no timely filings are missed and all processes are compliant with the relevant laws. One also cannot just expect to bill the payer and sit back and just wait on the payment to come in. It is vital in having a good practice to be able to have efficient follow-up, to be able to track the claims with the insurance adjusters handling and processing the claims, as well as any attorneys who may be representing the patients, to ensure that these bills are being recognized and the statutes are protected with those liens. And all payments should be reviewed so that you can confirm if those payments that are being made are correct so that you're maximizing that reimbursement. Those have to be reviewed as to the payer that issued the payment, along with any denials that may be received, to be reviewed for the reason for denial, to be able to perform any appeals, as well as the timely response on those and enforce the correct payment. A good process also quickly identifies any of those impairments of the liens in which the patient is paid directly by the insurance, avoiding the lien. And the provider's lien is overlooked in those situations. And so actions to have to be able to enforce a lien usually have a statute of limitations, which differs again from state to state, which is why it's important to timely review those and to see who is held accountable, and requires an experienced team to be able to review and remedy any impairment quickly. A TPL process typically does require patient cooperation, and it's very important early on in the process. And as we talked about previously in how liens can sometimes sound and be concerning to those patients, especially their elderly group of patients that may not understand this process and what this means as they are required to receive these notices in the mail. We all recognize how important patient satisfaction is to our revenue cycle. And so an ideal process takes all of this into consideration to ensure that you're taking a patient-friendly approach as well on the front end and very early on educating patients in what these processes are. And as we start here in that discovery process, as we mentioned, a vital part of the TPL process is the discovery on the front end. So a strong investigation process does ensure that all potential accident-related accounts are identified quickly and that they're vetted to identify all of the viable coverages. And here's some items to support those practices. Working with your staff on the front end so they understand the importance of early identification at the time of treatment. The faster that it's identified and claims can be verified and billed, the quicker you're able to get in there before some of those first-party benefits exhaust. However, we also recognize some accident-related treatment. They may be follow-ups, scans coming in, or it may be a follow-up treatment, and it doesn't always present as accident-related on the front end. So it's also important to review accounts after treatment as well. And when your staff receives requests for bills and medical records, they should also be reviewing to ensure that these accounts are currently being followed up as your TPL accounts. We have mentioned compliance multiple times today, as that is a large part of managing your TPL process. It's important to be successful that strict compliance is met, and that requires all available insurances are reviewed and tracked, both your auto, your health, your government payers. Each payer has unique timely guidelines, and so you have to make sure you have an efficient and effective system that is requiring you to ensure all of those are reviewed and that there are also fail-safes within that process to confirm that you also have a proper billing occurring. If liens are applicable, then that's another area of compliance to ensure that those are being properly filed, perfected, as well as being timely released in accordance with all of the state statutory requirements. And if there's an overlap with multiple payers being involved, then you may also be receiving multiple payments, and that occurs creating overpayments sometimes. So it's imperative that you have someone with an experience and working knowledge of your compliance with the priority of those payments, and they're reviewing those payments to determine how to handle those situations appropriately so that they know who to refund and or appropriately rebill whenever they're working through those overpayments situations.